Well, thanks, Dirk. Okay, we're going to turn now to the feature articles that we covered in QDD this week, and we're going to start with one called "Can Products in Your Home Be Dangerous?" Absolutely. And that's the compelling title of a piece written by Stan Salot, which appeared in Tuesday's issue of Quality Digest Daily. Now, for those of you who don't know Stan, he has a lengthy background in the electronic components industry with a particular focus on hazardous substance process management, or HSPM.
Right.
In fact, Stan wrote the prevailing international specification in the field, QC 080,000 IEC HSPM. Quite a mouthful
Yes.
there. Hazardous substances, in case you don't know, such as mercury, cadmium, hexavalent chromium, and others, are found in electronic components, toys, musical greeting cards, earrings, light bulbs, and many other very common consumer products. So this is a big issue here.
Right, we covered it quite a bit a few years ago, even some couple of videos on the topic.
Some video work too, or we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, Stan's latest endeavor, the Hazardous Substance Free, or HSF mark, offers consumers transparency into the materials that compose the products that they purchase and use every day. Of course, this is a major international endeavor, as befits a system that needs to penetrate the global supply chain and to explore the implications of the HSF mark and how it may affect manufacturers across the world. We're now joined via Skype by Stan Salot. Hello, Stan.
Hey, Stan.
Hello, Mike and Dirk. Pleasure to join you today.
How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
Good.
So you're up in Oregon, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Just outside of Eugene.
All right.
Beautiful, beautiful part of the country. Well,
Absolutely.
now, Stan, I gave the viewers a very quick background on HSPM and HSF a moment ago. Can you give us the very latest on the HSF mark and how companies are currently employing it in their manufacturing processes?
Certainly can, Mike. It's a really good question. The HSF mark itself is something that is new, although we've been working on it now for a couple of years. It is coming out new. We have, as a basis, there's a requirement for a manufacturer to be certified by facility. And we've accomplished that with about almost 3,500 certified facilities around the world. So our next endeavor is to actually have manufacturers start putting the logo, the mark, on their packaging. And unfortunately, I can't tell you who they are, but we have a couple of Fortune 50 companies producing products that will be the founders, if you will, of the HSF Mark Alliance of Manufacturers that are actually marking their products. And you'll see those coming up in your favorite retail outlets here soon.
So that'd be similar. That'd be similar to like the Energy Star mark or that type of things that we see sometimes on products. I mean, the same idea, right?
Yes, it certainly is. And in fact, what the entire process is the manufacturer lists all of their certifications, all of their qualifications on the website. And the way the system works is whether you use your computer or you use a smartphone, you simply search on the computer for the product you want, and then you can look at all the details relevant to that product related to hazardous substances, including all their certifications, which does include the Energy Star, Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval, Better Business Bureau. We're also adding, as a result of meetings that we had this past Friday in France, we're going to be adding the recycle program to it so that a buyer of a product will know immediately where they can take their product when they're ready to recycle it or return it to someplace other than their use.
And Stan, you mentioned that the adapters of this, the manufacturers, are many large organizations, Fortune 50 companies. Of course, these manufacturers have humongous, lengthy global supply chains. So talk a little bit about how the supply chain figures into this. In other words, the manufacturer, as I understand it, is ultimately the one responsible for any of these products that are found in their products, but they push it down to their suppliers as well. Is that correct?
That is very correct, Mike. And what I can share with you, because it is public record, companies like ASUS Technology, ASUS Computers, as you might know, another one called Haier Corporation, #1 company in white goods in China, Whirlpool here in the U.S., Philips, LG, these are all some of the larger companies that currently use the HSPM certification program. And through that, they push that down through their supply chain. One other one I'll mention that I don't want to forget is Foxconn, the folks that make the iPhones. These folks are all certified under the IECQ HSPM, which is the QC 80,000, the mouthful, as you mentioned earlier. And they have found this to be a tremendous approach to managing hazardous substances that might get into their products through supply chain management.
Now, Asia really, as we know, is an early adapter of HSPM, and as a matter of fact, we referenced this a little earlier in the show. Dirk was out a couple of years back at Titronics in Taiwan and interviewed many leaders in the space to learn about what was going on here. So why, first of all, is Asia still, at this point in time, ahead of the rest of the world in this space, and if so, why?
The answer to that one is absolutely yes, they're the leaders. And the reason that we can cite that and know this is that's where the real supply chain is. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 85% of the components used worldwide come out of the Asia-Pacific region. And everything, as we have tried to do, everything starts at the lowest level. We call it supply chain management. We also call it chain of custody. Everything that's built today, if you start at the beginning, and this drives directly to quality, if you get it right to begin with, then you get it right all the way through. And by doing that, Asia becomes the predominant users of the HSF mark. The producers, I'm sorry, the HSPM, get it right here, the HSPM certification, which then allows them to use the HSF mark.
I'm sorry, Dirk, let me just jump on that for a minute, because it's interesting, Stan, you mentioned that, because it is a lot of letters, there is a lot of acronyms involved in this, but the one that really, I think, to me, that as I understood this, really is the most important is the P in HSPM, because it's a process. This is not about dealing with these hazardous substances after the fact. You want to establish a process upstream to get rid of them before they get into the components. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And that's a very good point, Mike. The reality is, this discussion could go on for hours, but the HSPM program, Process Management of Hazardous Substances, actually started back in 2004 and 5 when it became obvious that testing hazardous substances out of products just wasn't working. And in fact, even today, it still is a problem. We have reports that Europe still sees in the neighborhood of 20 to 30% failure particularly for lead and cadmium. Because the manufacturers are still trying to accomplish that with testing. So when we introduced the hazardous substance process management certification, it was focused totally on process management. And I heard you mentioning Deming a bit ago. Deming and others, Crosby, the gurus of the past in quality would certainly support what we're doing, because it is really addressing the process.
Yeah, we've come to know very well in our industry, in the quality industry, that the statement that you can't test quality into you can't expect quality into the product. You need to, again, have that further upstream and understand in the design phase even that you're going to avoid bad quality, or you're going to avoid having these substances in your components, definitely.
Hey, Stan, most of our audience is quality professionals, yep. And some might even look at HSPM or HSF as just part of the alphabet soup, and there's plenty of alphabet soup of standards and specifications that we deal with every day at work. However, we're all consumers as well. So as consumers, what role can we play in affecting change as it relates to hazardous substances?
Dirk, that's what we're striving to do today, is address that very question. The reality is that any product that you buy today, anywhere in the world, where there's a potential for the hazardous substance, whether it's lead or mercury or cadmium or anything else, we can simply look at it and say, gee, that can't affect us. I'm an adult, I'm this, I'm that. How's it getting into my body? Well, what I'd encourage everybody to realize is every time you touch something and then pick up something to eat, like a cookie or a sandwich, unless you put gloves on or use a knife and fork and don't touch the food that you're eating, you have the potential of transferring whatever substance might come off on your fingers into your body. And an important piece here is to remember that while it might not affect you as a person, it could affect your offspring, or in fact their offspring. So
instead, let me just jump in real quick, because we're running out of time here. One thing we didn't say up front is these chemicals that we mentioned up at the top of this piece, these are actually found in everyday, basically electronic devices, or can be found, I should say, in things like toys. Yeah. So it's not like it's obscure things that we're picking up. We're talking about substances that you can get from handling an electronic device, an electronic toy.
Yeah, a card, a musical card.
A musical card, for instance. If you take the musical card apart, it's got a device in there. And that's what we're talking about, is that these really are things that could be found in consumer products today, and that's really what the HSF mark is all about, right? Is making sure that you're telling people in these everyday consumer products you're buying that if it has the HSF mark, it does not contain any of these nasty things.
That's right. The mark is intended to be an easy way for consumers to know that what they're buying has been processed properly. We have put in place a testing process, so we're randomly going out and buying products off the shelf and having them tested in a nonprofit, non-government process control here. So
where can we go to learn more about this?
hsf.us, www.hsf.us. And our real desire is consumers start demanding, insisting that retailers embrace and use the HSF mark or sell HSF mark products. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, there's more information again in the article. You can find that article right below the player page here, and click over to the Twitter page and Facebook, and a bunch of good links, and you can find out more. Stan, thank you so much for joining us today. Great information. We're going to circle back with you again here in the coming weeks and months and check in again and talk more about these issues.
Thank you both very much.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, Dan.
Bye now.
We've covered this a lot. This has been something that we've covered in Quality Digest for several years now, and we've really been actively interested in it. So we are going to continue to cover it and bring it to our audience because it's important. It's not just a quality issue; it is a consumer issue for all of us as people.
Absolutely,
we need to be aware of it. So.